Laudetur Jesus Christus. Vatican and World News.
In the headlines this Thursday, March 4th, Pope Francis sends a video message to the people of Iraq on the eve of his apostolic visit to the nation. The bishops of the United States express their solidarity with the people of Myanmar who are protesting for a return to democracy, and we look ahead to International Women's Day. In the Vatican, I'm Francesca Merlo. Pope Francis has sent a video message to the people of Iraq to share a message of peace, fraternity and comfort as he prepares for his apostolic visit, which begins on Friday. Father Benedict Mayaki tells us more.
As final preparations kick into high gear for Pope Francis's apostolic journey to Iraq, scheduled from the 5th to the 8th of March, the Holy Father issued a message on Thursday to Iraqis ahead of his arrival, expressing his joy and anticipation of finally being physically present with them.
Cari fratelli e sorelle in Iraq, Assalamu alaikum.
Dear brothers and sisters in Iraq, peace be upon you, the Pope said. In a few days I will finally be among you. I long to meet you, to see your faces, and to visit your land, the ancient and extraordinary cradle of civilization. Pope Francis's 4-day journey to the Middle Eastern nation will include visits to several cities, as well as meetings with Christian communities and religious leaders. As part of his message, the Pope said that he comes to Iraq as a penitent pilgrim to implore forgiveness and reconciliation from the Lord after years of war and terrorism, and to ask the Lord for the consolation of hearts and the healing of wounds.
E giungo tra voi come pellegrino di pace, a ripetere voi siete tutti fratelli.
The Pope also added that he comes as a pilgrim of peace in search of fraternity, animated by the desire to pray and walk together alongside brothers and sisters of other religious traditions under the sign of our father Abraham, who unites Muslims, Jews, and Christians in one family.
Cari fratelli e sorelle cristiani.
The Pope then turned his thoughts to the many Christians who have borne witness to their faith in Jesus in the midst of difficult trials, expressing his gratitude to them and offering them some fatherly words of comfort. Recent decades marked by war, insecurity and persecution have dwindled the numbers of the once vibrant Christian communities in Iraq, which numbered between 1 and 1.4 million in 2003. Presently, there are an estimated 300 to 400,000 Christians in Iraq.
Ora vengo nella vostra terra benedetta e ferita come pellegrino di speranza.
Bringing them a message of hope, the Pope reminded them that from Nineveh resounded the prophecy of Prophet Jonah, who prevented destruction of the city and brought a new hope, the hope of God. This is the hope, the Pope said, which encourages us to rebuild and to begin again, and to help each other to strengthen our fraternity, especially in these trying times of the COVID-19 pandemic.
E tutti voi vi chiedo di fare lo stesso di Abramo, camminare in speranza e mai lasciare di guardare le stelle.
I'm Father Benedict Mayaki.
Chaldean Archbishop Bashar Mati Warda of Erbil is calling for prayers for the papal visit and expresses his hopes for positive outcomes. He will welcome the Pope on Sunday when he arrives in the northern autonomous region of Iraqi Kurdistan. Thaddeus Jones has more.
Pope Francis will be visiting the Christian communities throughout Iraq and especially the large ones in the north of the country. The Archdiocese of Erbil hosts the largest community of displaced Iraqi Christians. The communities have ancient roots going back almost 2,000 years. They've suffered enormously during the years of war and occupation. Since 2003, the Church has been responsible for providing medical support, education, food, and being a voice for persecuted Christians. The country's struggling with an economic crisis made dramatically worse by the pandemic. Chaldean Archbishop Bashar Warda of Erbil says a pastor should always be there with his people. He is the shepherd, helping everyone with their survival needs that often go beyond pastoral and spiritual. That is why he also encourages the Iraqi diaspora and Christians worldwide to assist the Church in Iraq in any way possible to survive the current emergencies and rebuild their lives after decades of war. The visit of Pope Francis as universal shepherd will bring encouragement to the region for all the people, and especially Christians.
We are really delighted and excited that the Eucharist will be celebrated in Erbil, where we will join His Holiness praying to bless our country and to bless the region, and also to seek the reconciliation and peaceful coexistence among all Iraqis.
Archbishop Warda believes the papal visit will give all people in Iraq a morale boost and show something that does not always make the headlines, a diverse, multicultural, and multi-religious people struggling to pick up the pieces and live together in harmony despite the frequent setbacks.
First, I would say he's coming to Iraq to tell that you are all brothers and I am your brother as well, because the schedule and the cities that he's going to visit, it's not just exclusively Christians. In fact, it has a multi-culture and religious coexistence. So he's coming to say, you are all brothers, but I am your brother at the same time.
This time, hopefully, the message will be one about fraternity, according to Archbishop Warda, that we are all God's children. He hopes, as will be highlighted in the visit on Saturday to Ur of the Chaldeans. Born in the southern Iraqi town of Ur, the Old Testament patriarch Abraham is recognized as the father of faith in one God by Jews, Christians, and Muslims.
We are all God's children, praying from Ur of the Chaldeans in the southern part of the country, where the house of Abraham, to tell all that we are the children of Abraham. We are children of God, all of us, despite the different roads that the sons of Abraham took to accept God's call and God's invitation to them. But still, Christian, Jewish, Muslims, everyone.
Archbishop Warda concludes with an appeal.
I ask you all to pray for His Holiness, that he would visit and really enjoy being with us as a Christian and with all the people of Iraq. Also enjoy the welcoming and make this visit a blessing for all the people that he's going to encounter.
That was Chaldean Archbishop Bashar Warda of Erbil.
The EU ambassador to the Holy See, Alexandra Valkenburg, speaks of the significance of the Pope's upcoming visit to Iraq, describing it as a journey of hope for the people of the nation.
It's clearly a trip that he is very, very attached to, because it's not easy circumstances in which he undertakes this travel. It's clear that Christian communities in the Middle East are under large pressure, so this is a sign of support. It's also a moment to reach out to the Shia Muslim community. So I think there's a lot of important elements to this visit, which comes at a time that I think these Christian communities need the support, that he really wants to give that. But it's also still a delicate time in view of COVID. But I assume that everything is very much under control and that it will be a very positive experience for many.
That was EU Ambassador to the Holy See, Alexandra Valkenburg, on the Pope's upcoming visit to Iraq. As anti-coup protests continue unabated in Myanmar, despite escalating violence and more deaths, the Catholic bishops of the US join a growing number of voices against the country's military coup. Meanwhile, 38 people were killed by security forces on Wednesday, the highest toll in a single day so far. Robin Gomes has the story.
The Catholic bishops of the United States have expressed their solidarity with the people of Myanmar in their protests calling for a return to democracy. The Committee on International Justice and Peace of the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops conveyed the sentiments of the American bishops in a message to the bishops of Myanmar. On February the 1st, the military in Myanmar took control of the country, arresting many democratic political leaders and activists, including State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and President Win Myint. Since the coup, protesters have gathered peacefully around the country calling for a return to democracy, recalled Committee Chairman Bishop David Malloy of Rockford in a brief message to the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Myanmar on Tuesday. He recalled that Pope Francis has condemned the coup and expressed his solidarity with the people of Myanmar, calling on its leaders to work for the common good. I echo the call by the Holy Father and the bishops of Myanmar on the need for dialogue as a way forward toward peace and reconciliation, Bishop Malloy said. He said he has asked U.S. government officials to carefully consider the insights the local church can offer towards achieving a just resolution to the current crisis. In this regard, Bishop Malloy urged all Catholics and people of goodwill to pray for the people and leaders of Myanmar. Meanwhile, demonstrators returned to the streets on Thursday, undaunted by the killing of at least 38 people the previous day by security forces. Today it was the bloodiest day since the coup happened on February the 1st, the United Nations Special Envoy for Myanmar, Christine Schraner-Burgener, said on Wednesday. We have only today, 38 people died, she told reporters by video link from Bern, Switzerland. We have now more than 40 people who have died since the coup started, and more have been wounded, she added. I am Robin Gomes.
The Catholic bishops of Scotland have issued a statement welcoming the reopening of places of worship by the Scottish First Minister Nicola Sturgeon. They also call for the removal of the cap, which limits the number of people who can attend. In the statement, the bishops say they welcome the recent announcement for seeing a return to our churches for the most important celebration of the liturgical year at Easter. They also welcome the recognition of the status of public worship implicit in this decision. The bishops stress that the Catholic community recognises the seriousness of the pandemic and is committed to working with others to avoid the spreading of infection. They go on to say that they anticipate ongoing dialogue with the Scottish Government regarding the requirement of a numerical cap on the number of worshippers. And finally, on Monday, the 8th of March, we celebrate the 110th International Women's Day. The global 2021 theme of the day is Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World. For the occasion, we have spoken to one of the women in a position of leadership here in the Vatican. She is the Australian ambassador, Chiara Porro, who told Linda Bordoni that her embassy has organised a webinar that is open to all on Monday the 8th on the theme Choosing to Challenge.
Choosing to challenge the mentalities, the work culture, other barriers that women face in achieving gender equality. And this year we've thought to focus within the Vatican walls. There have been a number of initiatives, appointments that have promoted gender equality in the workplace, particularly in the Roman Curia. So we've invited a number of speakers to come and reflect on some of these initiatives. For example, women experts that have been appointed to the Council for the Economy, senior appointments in the Secretariat of State, and recently in the Synod of Bishops. The Pontifical Council of Culture's Consulta Femminile, which advises on the work programme for the Council of Culture, and the important role that women are playing within the Vatican's COVID-19 Commission.
We speak at a time in which the narrative really is changing globally. Do you think it's impacted the Vatican, or is it just a natural development?
I think Pope Francis has really taken leadership on this issue as well. I mean, he's spoken often about women, and just as on a side note, the female ambassadors will also be releasing a video on International Women's Day, which will reflect on the advocacy that Pope Francis has been doing to advance gender equality and promote women. I think there's a genuine realisation of the need to increase female participation in church leadership, and by that I don't necessarily mean in the clerical leadership of the church. Women are leaders. As Pope Francis says regularly, women play very important roles within the Catholic Church around the world, in dioceses, in schools, in hospitals, and the role of religious sisters, of course, is incredible and very central to the work of the Catholic Church.
That was Australian Ambassador to the Holy See, Chiara Porro, speaking there to Linda Bordoni. And that brings us to the end of this edition of Vatican and World News. For more on these and other stories, and to hear this broadcast as a podcast, please be sure to visit our web portal at www.vaticannews.va. You can also catch the latest updates on our Facebook page or on Twitter. Many thanks go to Roberto Colangeli in studio. In the Vatican, I'm Francesca Merlo.